You're well known, Conrad, for taking a different tack on things. You, for example, have found kind words for a couple of American presidents who people love to criticize. I'm thinking of Richard Nixon and Donald Trump. And of course, you have also taken the other tack and taken on some of the intellectuals in Quebec who somehow or other. Oh, you put it very nicely. Let me just refer to it. They struggle to reconcile the debt French Canada owns for its survival to forces and institutions that it has renounced and cannot accept as having been indispensable to their survival. Why, you have this different way of putting things, and it leads me to ask, is there some overall direction that in 3 volumes you're going to lead us to a somewhat different understanding of all that's taken place?
Not, I think, of all that's taken place, Nigel, but I do want to tell your viewers that I am not a reactionary. I don't say, all right, here's the conventional wisdom, and I oppose the conventional wisdom, period. That is not the case. I don't. I mean, if I think the conventional wisdom is defensible in factual terms, I'm a good soldier in the upholding and maintenance of it. But Mr. Nixon was pilloried. He was an outstanding president. 50 years after Watergate, there is not one shred of probative evidence that he himself broke any laws. Some of his subordinates did, but there's no evidence that he did. He was hounded from office as someone morally unfit to hold the office, and yet his one full term was next to Mr. Lincoln's and the first and third terms of Franklin D. Roosevelt, I think the most successful term any president ever had. When he came into office, there were 500,000 draftees at the ends of the earth, 200 to 400 coming back in body bags every week, no exit strategy, no discussions really going on with the other side. There were no relations between the U.S. and China, no substantive discussions with Russia about arms control or anything else. And there were riots in the United States every week, race riots and anti-war riots, and the country was a shambles. And 4 years later, he departed Vietnam while keeping a non-communist government in Saigon. He'd opened relations with China, triangulated the great power relationship, signed the greatest arms control agreement in the history of the world, in which the U.S. regained nuclear superiority, and had abolished the draft, reduced the crime rate, ended school segregation, and there were no riots, there were no assassinations, there were no skyjackings of planes. And he was reelected by what is still the greatest plurality in American history, although the electorate has almost doubled in size. Now, that is not a bad president. He was a good president. Now, unfortunately, aspects of his own personality combined to make him mishandle the Watergate affair. But history, in my opinion, will agree with me that hounding that president from office for those reasons was a terrible mistake.
You can become a Western Standard member for just $10 a month or $99 a year for unlimited access.